Hey everybody, so today we are checking out Harrison Mixbus 32C. It's a new workstation with an old school vibe. How does it sound? Let's take a look. Harrison is a manufacturer of large format mixing consoles. They've been around for ages and are in the same league as Neve and API. Classic albums such as Queen the Game and Michael Jackson's Thriller were mixed on a Harrison 32C console. And what Mixbus does is recreate that classic old school vibe and sound and makes it just a bit more affordable for those of us who don't have $1 million budgets or large scale studios available. Now this is different from most other DAWs as Mixbus is designed from the ground up to have a colored sound. Harrison emulates the way how the original 32C console sounds in the summing. Push it and it will get saturated. The channel EQ is a meticulous recreation of the original console EQ as well, like right down to the last resistor emulation. And this thing just plain rocks. Not only does it emulate the sound, it also emulates the workflow. Mixing on this works just like it would on a large format console. All of your controls are right in front of you and you don't have to pull up sub-menus or alternate pages. You can trim, fade, EQ, compress, and assign to buses all with ease. And I've got to say, mixing on this thing is quick. I mean, it's probably cut my mix time by 2/3 of what it used to be. I can just fly through a song. I cooked this up in about an hour the other day.
Of your beliefs, they are yours to keep. Memories will fade as time goes by. Remember just yourself, me or someone else.
Yep, that's the Motorhead song Electricity from their last album. I got permission to use this, so I figured there's no better way to show off the analog vibe of this program than with one of the most out of control heavy metal bands ever. Starting with the channel strip, we get the channel EQ, which is freaking incredible. Plug in effects insert and compressor. The compressor gives you 3 variations: leveler, compressor, and limiter. It's very musical and the simple interface makes it easy to get a great sound very quickly. Seriously, I am rarely reaching for a plug-in compressor after using this one. It's extremely versatile. Same with the EQ. Unless I'm doing something extremely surgical, the channel EQ is my first choice because it's simply one of the best I have ever heard. The routing is at the top of the channel and allows you to drag and drop how the signal chain fits together. Want your effects pre or post fader? No problem. Drop them in place. Want the same EQ or compressor setting on several channels? No problem. Drag and drop. It's that easy. Further down the strip is the bus assignment. You've got your main bus plus any of the 12 submix buses. And this is the true strength of the program here. I'm able to group various instruments and tweak them with ease in terms of level and automation. I usually break it down into drums, drum smasher, drum reverb, guitar, bass, leads, delay, and vocals.
Freedom to believe don't cost a thing. Innocence should not be bought and sold. Guess I bolts of lightning, it'll make you sing. Electricity deep in your soul. Don't tell me who I am, I don't give a damn.
The drum smasher is essentially the close mics all run through a slate compressor at its most aggressive and mixed in alongside the main drum mix. This technique is known as parallel compression and Mixbus makes it extremely simple to use. What's great about the buses is that they all have a 3-band EQ at the top for tweaking your channel. These can be a huge time saver, by the way, so you don't have to go through every mic individually. Just a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and then suddenly all of your buses play together nicely. And each bus has its own built-in tape saturation as well. This emulates a 2-inch 24-track machine. I like to hit the drums pretty hard here, bass too. Guitars get a little bit, but generally I find it's a good idea to leave the heavily distorted guitars alone as much as possible. The main bus also gives you a 2-channel tape saturation emulator, a K-scale loudness meter, and a mastering limiter. I usually stick with my Slate Gray and FGX here, but hey, options are nice and the tape saturation here is outstanding. The Motorhead tracks were provided courtesy Pro Mix Academy, and if you'd like to mix them for yourself and get a tutorial from the original engineer, you can check out the link in the description below.
Innocent should not be bought or sold. You need an open mind. Shiver up.
As for editing, I'm still learning the interface. I've had the program for a couple of months now, and I have the feeling I have only scratched the surface of its capabilities. The more time I spend with it, the more I learn about it. And originally it felt somewhat clunky and inefficient, but as I learn more, it becomes more apparent that the editing system is very, very robust. And it's extremely efficient. You just have to learn the tools. The usual cut, copy, paste works as expected, and the split and trim functions are great. Grouping is behind a drop-down menu though, and I really wish we could just customize that to a keyboard command for that. That would save a bit of time. If you're into time-aligning drums, the slide edit mode does pretty much what the exact same thing that slip editing in Reaper does. And if you want something like Beat Detective, there's a feature called Rhythm Ferret, but I didn't try that out because I just don't work like that. It's far easier to make the drummer play it right. Automation is really simple. There's lots of lanes to draw patterns on for all the functions. Plus there's an added feature called region gain adjustment, which is an amazing time saver. If you're tweaking a lead guitar or a vocal line, this is just a fantastic way to work. Highlight the clip, and it's 2 key commands to increase the clip's gain or decrease it. Awesome. The one feature that had me wondering what the fuck was going on, however, is the mouse wheel. If you go to the top zone, it changes function and it's really easy to lose where you are by just a couple of simple mouse wheel turns. This took a few days to figure out and learn how to avoid. It can be a big strength, but you'll need patience to get the hang of it. And that's one of my complaints, it's the lack of customizability. As a Reaper user, I've gotten very used to the SWS extensions and the ability to customize functions to my needs, especially concerning the mouse wheel, and I really miss having this in Harrison. Now, here are my 2 biggest complaints. First, live monitoring. You can live monitor until you punch in, then it cuts out and switches back on at the punch point. Yeah, this isn't 1975, guys. I live monitor in Reaper all the time and it works brilliantly, playback engaged or not. I'm used to live monitoring with all my effects going and it's just a fantastic way to work. The fact that the user base is recommending that I use my interface's live monitoring instead of using Mixbus's included monitoring is kind of an insult, to be honest. I mean, I did that with Saw Studio 10 years ago and I'm not going to take a step backward just because Mixbus hasn't kept up. Steve Wozniak talked about one-way technology doors, like how the mouse replaced the command line interface. Once that was invented, there was no going back. Or how once the practical digital camera was invented, there was no going back to film and paper. Ask anyone who used to work at Kodak how that worked out. And when it comes to live monitoring, this particular technology door was blown wide open years ago. I understand that Harrison is a small company and they want to grow their user base, but if they want to compete with what's out there, they need to compete and not offer workarounds. And the biggest disappointment for me is the fact that you can't import tempo maps via MIDI. That's just stupefying. How did that ever get past quality control? Let's be clear here. I record metal bands, and that means lots and lots of intricate tempo maps. There is no way in hell I'm going to tell a client band that I'm adding an 8-hour session to their bill so we can manually add in all the tempo maps for their album. The tempo maps that they spent time on at home to create that will import into any other DAW on the planet. I did have a chance to talk to the gang at Harrison, and yes, the tempo map issue is being fixed for the next update. I'm glad that's going to happen, but I'm still blown away that this most basic function wasn't included. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are some really amazing things about this program, like the proprietary plugins that are just simply incredible. Like the XT-TG Tom Gate. This has got to be one of the best plugins I've ever seen. You teach it the sound of your tom, and then teach it what the spill sounds like. Boom! No editing required. Tom Gate opens up when you need it to, closes when you need it to. I'd love to show you this on the Motorhead track, but of course there are 5 tom mics, and their drummer doesn't even hit a single tom even once. The other plugin I find myself constantly reaching for is the XT-DC. This is the drum character plugin, and it's basically 2 separate EQs for your drum. One for the transient and one for the tail. This allows you to add massive amounts of attack to a drum and treat the sustain completely different. It's great for adding bite and crack to a close snare, click to a kick, or punch to toms. Again, it's one of those things you can't believe nobody else ever thought of. Now, obviously I can't cover the entire DAW in excruciating detail. We'd be here for 8 hours. But I can tell you this, I'm not tracking on it yet. But I do want to start editing with it as I'm seeing just how robust the editing system is. I only hope that they add in some customizability and let the user base run wild with the capabilities. Stability issues seem to have been fixed for the most part too. I've only managed to crash it a couple of times. But for me to start tracking with this on my day-to-day productions, they need to get the live monitoring issue fixed. As for now, mixing is the program's greatest strength. If I have a critical mix or a big project, I'll dump the tracks out of Reaper and mix in Mixbus. Because when it comes to mixing, it rules. It's faster, more efficient, and sounds incredible. I did the Mix Wars shootout a while back, and the Harrison mixes simply sounded better than the best I could possibly do in Reaper using my best plugins. The fact that it allows you to achieve those sounds with efficiency is amazing. I've never got mixes sounding so good that quickly. And for me, that's what makes this program a winner. I can't wait till the next version because I'd really like to stay in the Harrison environment for all my projects. You can check it out at harrisonconsoles.com.